Have you ever felt like everything around you is moving on like usual, but something inside you just breaks? Like the world keeps doing its daily routine, but you start watching from the sidelines, feeling out of sync. If that's happened to you, it's not a coincidence. You're being called. This isn't just another video, it's a message wrapped in mystery, meant for those who can't pretend anymore, for those who feel pulled away from the noise of the world by an invisible but undeniable force. Today, we're going to talk about a symptom so deep, so personal, and so powerful that only a few experience it. We're not talking about common signs like seeing repeating numbers or having vivid dreams. This sign is much more subtle and far more intense. It shows up in the middle of everyday life, in moments when you least expect it. Maybe while you're doing the dishes, maybe when you're driving. Suddenly, a thought comes up that doesn't feel like yours, but it changes everything. This no longer fits me. It's not sadness or confusion. It's clarity. It's a radical disconnect from a life that can't hold the light that's being born inside you. It's your spirit pushing back against a life your soul never intended. It's the start of a transformation you can't turn back from. On this journey, we'll explore this sign, the one that signals the awakening of the most powerful chosen ones. We'll see how it shows up, why it's so rare and meaningful, and how to recognize it, not as a crisis but as a sacred moment. Because when the surface falls apart, it's because something sacred is breaking through. This video will guide you along a hidden path, walked by those who can no longer keep up appearances, who feel an urgent need to step away from the noise, the masks, the world, not to run away, but to come back to their true selves. We'll talk about the inner break, the feeling of being disconnected from those closest to you, rejecting the shallow, losing track of time, and finally, waking up to a quiet but burning mission that gives you unshakable certainty. You weren't put on this earth to live an ordinary life. If you're watching this, maybe you've sensed it already. Throughout history, in every part of the world, there have been stories, mostly whispered in secret circles, about people who suddenly stopped fitting into their own lives. People who woke up one day with a different outlook, like something invisible had touched their soul and pulled back the curtain from their eyes. Ancient traditions didn't call these people crazy or unstable. They called them chosen. In the mystery schools of ancient Egypt, they talked about the moment of unveiling, that sudden, unexpected instant when someone realized their old life was just a performance. The priests of Thoth knew not everyone was called, and even fewer answered the call. The chosen one was the person who, after feeling that inner break, decided not to ignore it. The Vedic texts of India describe viveka, spiritual discernment, not as intellectual thought, but as a sudden grace that triggers a crisis of meaning. The soul can no longer accept the false, the shallow, the mundane. What once felt enough becomes unbearable. The awakening starts with a silent mourning for the old self. Early Christian mystics like John of the Cross and Teresa of Avila called this the dark night of the soul, not a punishment but a necessary purification before transformation by divine light. It's in that night when meaning is lost and the ego collapses that God begins to remake the soul from its purest core. But this sign, this secret symptom we're talking about, is even older than religion. It appears in shamanic legends where the young chosen one wasn't the strongest or the smartest, but the one who fell into a mysterious illness, lost their identity, broke from their environment, and returned with a new vision. It was the wounded one, the outcast, the one who spoke with trees and ancestors. who became a bridge between worlds. These traditions agree on one thing: the true spiritual call doesn't come with fanfare or promises of instant peace. It comes as radical dismantling. It tears you away from the familiar, breaking down your roles, your masks, your borrowed desires, and only those brave enough not to resist come through transformed. The sign of this awakening isn't a flashy miracle or a loud revelation. It's a quiet murmur, a crack in your personal reality, a deep disconnect that means nothing to the outside world, but everything to your soul. Because this mysterious symptom isn't a glitch. It's the Spirit's voice saying clearly, "Your time has come. Remember who you really are." No one expects it. There are no heavenly bells, no dancing lights in the sky, no words written in fire. In fact, this awakening starts in the most unlikely places. In everyday life, that's where the most secret and powerful sign of the chosen soul shows up. It's subtle, almost impossible to notice, but it changes everything. An inner break that splits your life in two. It doesn't happen during deep meditation at a spiritual retreat or after reading a sacred book. Sometimes it hits when you're washing dishes, scrolling on your phone, or driving to work. One moment everything feels normal. The next, something feels off. A thought comes up that doesn't feel like yours but hits you with total force. This isn't me anymore. It's not just a thought in your head. It's an energy download from your spirit, a wave that flows through every cell and breaks what you thought was steady. Suddenly, the home you've lived in for years feels strange. The partner who once held you close feels distant. The job that filled your days loses its meaning. And it's not because anything outside changed. It's because something new is being born inside you. This is the first sign of the spiritual awakening of the chosen. The moment your soul starts to reject the reality built on ego, social conditioning, and fear. It's a collapse you can't see but feel deep in every part of yourself. Many are scared of this sign, and that makes sense, because the first thing it does is shake up your inner world. What once felt comfortable becomes unbearable. What you once justified with logic suddenly doesn't make sense. But this break doesn't bring pain. It brings clarity, a strange kind of sharpness, as if you finally remembered you'd been wearing a mask for too long. The hardest part is that no one around you seems to notice the change. You keep going through the motions, talking, smiling maybe, but inside, everything is quietly breaking down with spiritual grace. It's not a fall, it's a sacred demolition. God is breaking the old mold so the real you can come through. And here's the real challenge for the chosen. How do you keep living a life that no longer resonates with your soul? That question quietly beats at the center of your heart. There's no quick answer because there are no instructions. No one tells you what to do. You just know you can't keep faking it. As this sign grows stronger, you start to notice the fake in conversations, the forced in relationships, the robotic in your routine. You can't take part in certain patterns without feeling exhausted. You can't stand empty words or noisy spaces anymore. Your sensitivity grows, not as a weakness, but as a spiritual gift waking up. This is the start of true transformation, your consciousness expanding inside and crashing against the outside world. It's your soul telling you the time has come, the time to cross the threshold. What once gave you identity, titles, relationships, roles, starts to fade like smoke in the wind. They're no longer enough. They don't represent what's awakening inside you. And that's when many get scared, Because this sign doesn't come with a plan. No instructions, just a quiet knowing. You can't go back. What you're feeling isn't weakness. It's the echo of your soul breaking free. And this is only the first sign. Once this break settles in, what comes next goes even deeper. Sacred solitude, spontaneous retreat, the shedding of masks. But to understand that, we need to go to the next stage of awakening, music. Once the inner break has started, there's no turning back. Not because anyone says no, but because your soul has tasted a piece of truth and will never settle for fake again. Then this sign grows stronger, it gets sharper, deeper, and what felt like just discomfort turns into a full dismantling, a silence, a holy silence. The next stage of spiritual awakening isn't bright or public, and it's not full of gratitude. It's solitude, but not just any solitude, not one born from rejection or loneliness. This is consecrated solitude, a spiritual separation that acts like a hidden temple where God takes you aside to work with you in private. At this stage, you discover something unsettling. People you love start to feel distant. Conversations that once brought joy now feel awkward, disconnected, almost empty. There's no guilt or resentment, just a clear sense that they don't share your vibration anymore. It's like you've started speaking a new soul language, while others are still talking the world's language. And that hurts. It hurts because these aren't strangers. They're bonds that once held you. But vibration doesn't lie. Your spirit starts to see with brutal clarity. You can't stay where your energy shrinks, nor pretend everything is okay when you know something vital no longer fits. This is one of the toughest and most powerful signs, feeling out of sync with what used to be your emotional home. But that disconnect isn't a punishment, it's a sign of growth. Your frequency has risen, and everything that doesn't grow with you starts to fade. Not because you reject it, but because life itself reshapes your surroundings to support your new vibration. It's a holy separation, a divine cleansing. Then something even deeper happens. The character begins to fall. Yes, the character, that version of you who adapted to survive, to please, to fit in. The voice that changed depending on the setting, the smile you wore out of obligation, the mask you wore for so long without realizing it. Little by little, that character becomes unbearable. You can't wear it anymore. You can't hold it without feeling sick. Your soul demands authenticity, and that doesn't mean perfection. It means being present without masks. Suddenly, you can't fake social conversations. You can't laugh at things you don't find funny. You can't stay where your spirit dims. The character that once protected you now limits you. The disguise that once served you now suffocates. And the day comes when you simply can't pretend anymore, can't keep living for others' expectations. That moment, though painful, is also your freedom. This sign is sacred. It's the unmistakable sign that God is stripping all falsehood from your soul. Not as punishment, but because what's coming requires absolute truth. There's no higher purpose without revealed identity. And in that process, something else starts to dissolve. Your rigid sense of time. Days stop feeling linear. Hours stretch on, and weeks fly by. You lose the need to control everything. You start to flow with the spirit's rhythm and can no longer live by someone else's schedule. Then another sign activates, a new clear symptom, an urgent need for silence. Not empty silence, but sacred silence, the kind where the soul meets itself and God. Not because the world is bad, but because noise can't compete with the voice of the spirit burning inside you. And in that silence, Your mission is finally revealed. Walking with an awakened soul in a sleeping world takes courage. It's not a spiritual trend. It's a daily commitment to the unseen. When you recognize these signs of awakening, the inner break, the sacred solitude, the fall of the character, the urgent silence, you realize the hardest part isn't waking up, it's staying awake. This isn't about building an external altar. It's about turning your life into a living sanctuary. That's why the following advice isn't a quick fix, but deep practices to support what heaven has begun in you. 1. Honor your need for silence. Don't underestimate its power. This world is designed to distract and overwhelm, but you've been called to the opposite, to return to your center. Create sacred spaces, even small ones. Turn off your phone for a bit each day. Take a walk without music or headphones, just focusing on your breath. In that silence, the divine whispers. Guidance doesn't come from outside. It comes from the spirit deep within. And that whisper only breaks through when the noise quiets down. 2. Stop trying to fit in. This is one of the biggest challenges. Stop asking permission to be who you are now. Your soul has changed. Your vibration has risen, and not everyone will understand. Accept that. It's not about forcing yourself on others or judging them, but about honoring your transformation without apology. If someone walks away, let them. If a place no longer resonates with you, step away. The call you hear isn't collective. It's personal, intimate, and sacred. Your loyalty is to your essence, not your past. 3. Let go of the need for recognition. One sign of deep awakening is losing the urge to compete. The ego wants applause, the soul wants purpose. When you notice you don't care about proving yourself anymore, celebrate it. That's not apathy, it's spiritual maturity. You can still shine, grow, and create, but not for approval, for alignment. Ask yourself, does this feed my truth or just my ego? That simple question will keep you grounded. 4. Let the old fall away. Don't cling to what heaven has already released. When a door closes after awakening, it's because it no longer fits your new vibration, whether that's relationships, habits, or thoughts. If something breaks, don't try to fix it with logic. Observe, give thanks, and let go. God doesn't disrupt without a reason. Every bond that fades, every routine that cracks, opens space for what's next. 5. Ground your awakening in real actions. Don't let this transformation stay just words. Turn your inner change into small but powerful habits. Change how you speak to yourself, how you pray, how you make choices, how you breathe. Let every action echo your awakened soul, because in the end, awakening isn't about what you feel. It's about how you live what you feel. There are paths you can walk away from, decisions you can undo, dreams you can put on hold. But true spiritual awakening, the kind that comes from the soul and not just a surface-level desire to be different, has no turning back. Once you've felt that inner disconnect, that quiet break with your old life, nothing will ever feel the same again. What used to feel comfortable now feels suffocating. What felt normal now feels heavy, not because the world around you has changed, but because you have. Because truth touched your spirit, and that burning touch marked a before and after. This video isn't just another message, it's a mirror, a reminder, a gateway. I've shown you the sign only the most powerful chosen ones experience, the impossibility of pretending anymore, not from weakness but from an overflow of authenticity. because the light kindled inside you no longer fits into a mold shaped by fear. We've explored the invisible signs, feeling disconnected from your former life, the spiritual distance from loved ones, the collapse of the character you created to be accepted, time losing its usual shape, silence becoming your refuge, and the fading urge to compete or show off. These aren't signs of confusion. They're the Creator's fingerprints shaping you beyond the surface. They're the cracks where the light gets in, the forge where your purpose is formed. And if this resonates with you, then you know what you're going through isn't madness or weakness. It's sacred transformation. And yes, it can hurt. Awakening isn't some perfect paradise. It's real. And real demands courage, faith without a roadmap, persistence without applause, and standing firm when the world expects you to stay who you no longer are. But here's something you need to remember. God doesn't awaken someone only to send them back to sleep. If this truth has found you, it's because your soul was chosen before time began, not to live a perfect life, but a real one. Because when you live in truth, even if no one else gets it, you are free. Now the choice is yours. Will you close your eyes again just to fit in, or will you answer the call burning inside you? If this message sparked something in you, don't let it fade. Declare in the comments, "I feel this awakening in my soul." Hit like to seal your faith in what's been ignited within you. Subscribe if you haven't yet, because this community is a circle of those who awaken and support each other. Share this video with someone who feels the same, even if they can't put it into words, because when two awakened souls recognize each other, the path becomes clearer. And remember, you're not lost, you're coming home. You're not falling apart, you're being rebuilt. You're not alone, you're being guided. This isn't the end, this is just the beginning.